American political commentator is taking over the Turkish politicals. Yabancı influencerlar bile olay hakkında bir şeyler yaparken sesini çıkarmayan ne kadar influencer varsa engelleyin gitsin ya. Yarın bir gün Instagram'ları kapanınca en önden onlar ağlayınca şaşırmayın ama. So this guy says there are even American influencers or foreign influencers that are covering this issue, and there are Turkish influencers who are saying nothing out of fear. So just block them, the Turkish influencers, because they're being cowards. And don't be surprised if tomorrow or some other day their Instagrams are shut off, and they'll be the first to cry when that happens to them. But this is because Asmongold did a "What the f is happening in Turkey?" One of my favorite comments that I saw on my community from that video was community being like, "It's crazy how Hasan is not talking about this," you know? And it's so funny because like I have talked about this. Of course. I don't understand how people just like fantasize about this stuff. Fantasize about what I haven't done, you know? Where is it? Does anyone have the link? Yeah, is that why everyone was yelling at you not 5 minutes after covering it? Yeah. You have to talk about it while the Roach King is reacting to it or else it didn't happen? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to get it across to people. Like so many people unironically assume that like if they so many people just simply don't have object permanence any longer. Is a truly frustrating reality that we have to exist in, where people will just be like, if I didn't see it, it doesn't exist, you know? If I wasn't there when it happened, it didn't happen at all. And I don't know how to deal with that. Yeah. This is the thing I was talking about. You know, you'd think the most popular left-wing political streamer in the world who is also Turkish would be covering this, but from what I understand, he isn't. Like normally, I think back in the day, people would just be like, hey, you're wrong. Or let me just like search even a little bit. Like, let me look up like, I don't know, HasanAbi, Turkey. Okay, and Google that to see if he has actually talked about it. You know what I mean? 4 days ago, Turkey falls into chaos amid protests. Turkey is falling apart under Erdoğan 20 hours ago. Like, you could have just easily Googled to see if I had extensively covered it, right? But people are so lazy and also simultaneously so unwilling to learn like basic things. I don't know what to say about it. Like, I genuinely don't know what to say about it. I like, anytime I mention that a comment like this is wrong, they just call me Hasan writer and off. I know. There was a time and place when I think a lot of people would have made fun of like our grandparents for falling into Facebook memes and stuff, right? And now basically everyone behaves like that. It's very strange. Like, I don't expect people to watch everything that I'm doing. But if you're going to make a statement like this, like, you could have just Googled it. It would have taken you 3 seconds. It would have taken you 3 seconds to figure out if this was correct or not. And if you're willing to not even entertain a quick Google search for something as stupid as silly as this, then how many genuinely consequential things are you also completely oblivious to? Because like, this is just about me. Who gives a f, right? Yeah, it's the meta is to be like, Hasan sucks. And it's ultimately inconsequential. But I think there is a real problem with the way that people, I think there's a real issue with the way people approach the truth. Like, anyway. But yeah, I think people are hyping up Asmongold because they're like excited that someone in America with such a large platform is covering it. Which, by the way, I think it is good. It is good that even if it's like coming from Asmongold, I don't know what his take is, but I assume because it's happening in Turkey, he doesn't like it. Because like the very same shit happening in America would lead Asmongold to say the American government should kill everyone, most likely. And that's not that far-fetched of me to assume, because similar starting positions, as someone who is very familiar with Erdoğan, who lived under Erdoğan's rule and who lived in the United States of America under Trump 1 and Trump 2, I see a lot of similarities, and he is defending a lot of the things that Trump is doing on here in the United States of America. And I'm constantly warning people that this is exactly how you get to what is happening in Turkey right now. But ultimately, this is a good thing to get the word out about what's going on in Turkey. And I suspect that, Osman Gold, who would be an Erdogan supporter in Turkey, is probably not an Erdogan supporter, is probably not an Erdogan supporter in America, because it's, he can be more honest about the brutal ways in which the Erdogan regime is suppressing political dissent.
The escalation.
Shit in Turkey's getting... This is a second video on it. Don't worry, guys. Hasan is going to go back to his home country and fix it because he loves it so much. Wait, what? Why is that the top comment in this? We don't want them either. Please take them home. Now he's too busy playing AC Shadows to care about Turkey because Hasan has any power to believe people have so much in them. Bro's living rent-free in your head. He might be from Turkey, but not Turkish. We do have groups, but they are not Turkish or a Turk. Going to be honest. We are the first nation to recognize Israel, and we work with Jews and have protected Jews for millenniums. But we also have Arabs, Kurds, Persians, and so on and so on. They say they are Turkish, but not a Turk. Let me give you an example. Turkey took 5 million Syrian Arabs. They say they're Turkish now, but they ain't Turkish. Do you see the difference? Turkish hogs have found the Osman Gold commentary. It's awesome. Hasan has no videos on this. He's busy fighting common sense. I don't know why I do what I do. There is, like, when I see stuff like this, it is kind of discouraging, where it's just like, it is kind of discouraging to see, how stupid everyone is. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's just like, people are just operating on vibes. First of all, you don't have to be Turkish to care about this. Everyone should care about this. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Okay? The Turkish government getting away with this kind of political repression is terrifying for a country with like 90 million plus people, a country that has a lot of geopolitical significance in that region. And there's a lot of lessons that you can derive here in the United States of America, even if you are not aware of Turkey or Turkish politics. There is a lot of stuff that Erdogan has done over the course of the past 22 plus years and continues to do now that is also happening in the United States of America. Maybe not to the same severity, maybe not to the same degree, but there's a valuable lesson there that Americans can learn from. The Facebookification of YouTube and Twitter is crazy. Everywhere it is. If you want to be disappointed, look at Facebook misinfo. My dad thinks raw milk cures alcoholism, withdrawals, and autism. By now, he probably thinks it cures even more things because of Facebook. That's what I mean. It's just like, we are cooked. Anyway, here is İmamoğlu, the Istanbul mayor / governor, imprisoned and is pending a trial in Turkey.
Security was tight at an Istanbul court as a judge jailed city's Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, pending trial on graft charges. The ruling is likely to increase already high tensions in Turkey following the leading opposition figure's detention earlier this week. The court said it strongly suspected him of aiding an armed terrorist organization and that an investigation into that is ongoing.
Someone in the chat said they're comparing you to Osama bin Laden. Yeah, sounds familiar. Ay, fucking morons, dude.
The decision will mean a mayor for Istanbul will now be elected from within its municipal council, where the opposition Republican People's Party, or CHP, has a majority.
The decision raises the possibility of the Istanbul municipality appointing a trustee, but the necessary objections will be made for the mayor to gain his freedom.
After the court ruling, İmamoğlu posted on X that he would never bow. His lawyers are expected to appeal. The mayor's detention provoked the country's biggest protest against...
Chatters will recognize Silivri. He said it wrong. It's not Silivri. It's Silivri. Okay. Chatters might recognize that name because a very common joke from Turks in this community and just Turks in general is They'll say Silivri is cold. Silivri soğuktur. That is the prison that Erdoğan most commonly, the Erdoğan administration most commonly sends his political rivals to for a multitude of different reasons, many of which is fucking bullshit. So whenever I say something about Erdoğan, Turkish chatters will chime in and say, Silivri is cold this time of the year.
Outside Istanbul just a few hours ago as well, as you can see in these pictures here. Now, he has posted his reaction to social media, and I can read for you now just one of the things he said. He said that he invited the nation to a responsible struggle for rights, adding that the struggle for rights was a matter for the future of the nation and for the nation's children. He also added, encouraging citizens to go out and vote today. I'll just tell you in a short while what he's referring to there. Either way, the situation as it stands is likely, if anything, to stoke and inflame tensions even further in Turkey. Now,
would I be able to travel back to Turkey if I wanted to? Chatter, come on. What do you fucking think? What are you talking about? My statements on Turkish politics are way more radical than what İmamoğlu is saying. What are you talking about, dude? Ask the Turks in the chat what you think. No. I've also written in the past and have directly been threatened by the Turkish government before.
İmamoğlu's party, the Republican
and that
People's
was when I was a much smaller political commentator.
Party, that is the main opposition party in Turkey, has gone ahead with this primary vote. It is, if anything, more an informal vote, set to confirm İmamoğlu as the party's contender in the 2020.
Also, who's going to save me? Is the Trump administration going to apply political pressure to Turkey? Me, an American citizen? Let's say I go back to Turkey. Let's say I get arrested. There's a million different charges that can be brought up, including my friendship with one Brace Belden, for example, who is for some weird reason on the terrorist watch list in Turkey. Okay? That's one of the many different reasons that I could get in trouble. He's just considered a terrorist. He's not. Anyway, could be any reason. It doesn't even have to be that. Do you truly think that the Trump administration would apply political pressure to the Turkish government to get me out of prison?
2028 presidential election. He will certainly win that vote, but that vote certainly won't be recognized by Turkey's Supreme Electoral Council. Now, what the CHP, the Republican People's Party, has done is encourage members of the party and non-members of the party to participate. So the point here is that they want to turn this vote really into a kind of symbol for the opposition to show their opposition to President Erdogan. So we are going to see large crowds forming tonight for a fifth night outside Istanbul City Hall in Saraçhane.
So how do these protests, wave of anti-government demonstrations that we saw over 10 years ago in 2013?
Yeah, in 2013, of course, we saw the Gezi Park protests. These were protests against plans to build a mosque and a shopping mall on one of central Istanbul's only green spaces. I was actually there. I covered these protests. I remember when there was, the moment protesters formed a human chain across Taksim Square to symbolically protect the park moments before the occupation in that park was cleared by riot police. Now, that sparked days of rioting in Istanbul and other cities across Turkey. Of course, that protest, Gezi Park becoming a symbol of something bigger. The protests morphed into a demonstration against mass corruption and against authoritarianism. Now, since then, the slide towards authoritarianism in Turkey has become more pronounced. And what many demonstrators have been saying this time round, including even demonstrators here in Paris, who I spoke to yesterday, there was a small demonstration held by the opposition party, the CHP, here in Paris. They've been saying that this is, for them, shaping up to be a fight about the future of Turkish democracy, or at least in their eyes, what's left of Turkish democracy. President Erdogan hasn't, I think, hesitated to drive a wedge right through Turkish society in the last decade with his divisive rhetoric. You have two visions of Turkey, really. One embodied by Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, the other embodied by Ekremİmamoğlu. And it's for that reason that neither side will want to back down, Erin.
So finally, Andrew, there are also interestingly enough, parallels between Erdogan and İmamoğlu. Can you walk us through some of those?
Yeah, that's right. They may represent or embody different visions of Turkish society, but there are some significant parallels, and those parallels certainly won't have been lost on President Erdogan. He'll be aware of them. Both men spent a part of their childhood in Trabzon province, which is on the Black Sea coast, and most notably, they have both served as mayor of Istanbul. President Erdogan actually made his name in Turkey's largest city in the 1990s. He famously said, "Whoever wins Istanbul wins Turkey." Now, those words may come back to haunt him. It will have stung him personally, very personally, President Erdogan, when he lost the city in the municipal elections in 2019 to the opposition, to Ekremİmamoğlu. He lost again in 2024 to his party lost to Ekremİmamoğlu in 2024 last year as well. Now, interestingly enough,
this is why I say Turkish elections are not fair, but they're free, because İmamoğlu is not under the control. It's not controlled opposition in the way that it would work in Russia, right? In Russia, a guy like İmamoğlu never, he doesn't get to have anything close to any semblance of power. Like, he doesn't have any proximity to power. Anyone that has proximity to power, anyone that is like even allowed to be in a position of power in a country like Russia is only allowed to be in that seat because Vladimir Putin let him get to that seat, right? Hold on one second. So the very fact that a popular opposition leader can win such an important race means that there's still some semblance of the democratic process still working in the country, as long as you can get away with not going to prison.
President Erdogan was also arrested in on his release. That reinforced his popularity. It sealed his political rise. His party went on to win the general election in 2002, 3 years later, and he became prime minister a year after that in 2003. We are 3 years out from a presidential election officially in Turkey. Will the parallels continue or will they stop? That's the big unknown for now.
Now to the Middle East, and Israel strikes on what it's
5 parties in the Russian Duma plus some independents, more than in Sweden. Yeah, but all of the parties in the Russian Duma are also controlled opposition, is what I'm saying. Like, they are there because Vladimir Putin allows them to be there. That's the difference. It's not like a valid, viable coalition that is against the government. That's not a real thing. That was my point. Whereas in Turkey, the anti-government coalition is a valid one, is a real one. Like, there is real opposition. There's real popular opposition against the government. And it's always existed, as a matter of fact. It's existed for the past 20 years. It's always like a, not exactly like a 51-49 split, but pretty much. This last election was also close to that split in general. And Erdogan has obviously also had to take on MHP, the ultra-nationalist far-right party, into its governing coalition in an effort to maintain that majority support.